Welcome to Warriors of the World. Today we'll be exploring the life of Carlos Hathcock, the legendary Marine sniper whose precision and daring missions made him one of the most effective marksmen in military history. Subscribe now to join our community and support this project. Now, let's begin. Carlos Norman Hathcock II was born on May 20, 1942 in Little Rock, Arkansas. His childhood in rural Arkansas established the foundation for his future as an elite marksman. Raised primarily by his grandmother after his parents separated, young Carlos found both solace and purpose in the woods surrounding their modest home. At the age of 9, Carlos first fired a rifle. It was his father's Mauser, a World War I trophy. Living in the economically challenged rural South, hunting was not merely recreation but necessity. The Hathcock family relied on Carlos to provide meat for the table, a responsibility that honed his skills and instilled a profound respect for firearms. By age 12, Carlos was regularly venturing alone into the woods with his J.C. Higgins .22 caliber rifle, sometimes staying out for days while tracking and hunting game. These early experiences developed not just his marksmanship but the fieldcraft, patience, and stalking techniques that would later define his military career. At 17, Carlos enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. The year was 1959, before Vietnam had entered American consciousness. As he completed basic training at Parris Island, South Carolina, instructors quickly recognized his exceptional shooting ability. While most recruits struggled with basic marksmanship qualifications, Hathcock demonstrated natural talent that separated him from his peers. After completing basic training, Hathcock was assigned to Marine Corps Air Station Cherry Point in North Carolina. Here, his exceptional shooting abilities caught the attention of the base shooting team coach. Marine Corps competitive shooting became the crucible that refined Hathcock from natural talent to precision instrument. By 1965, Hathcock had established himself as one of the finest competitive shooters in the Marine Corps. His crowning achievement came when he won the prestigious Wimbledon Cup, the premier long-range shooting competition in the United States, shooting a near-perfect score at 1,000 yards. As American involvement in Vietnam intensified, the Marine Corps began to recognize the need for specialized snipers. Captain Jim Land, tasked with forming sniper training programs, identified Hathcock as an ideal instructor and practitioner for this specialized role. The Marine Corps Sniper School at Camp Pendleton became Hathcock's laboratory for developing modern sniper doctrine. He helped create training protocols that combined marksmanship fundamentals with fieldcraft, camouflage techniques, and tactical consideration. His approach emphasized the psychological aspects of sniping, teaching students that mental discipline often determines success more than physical skill. While developing as an instructor, Hathcock studied historical snipers, particularly those from World War II and Korea. He analyzed techniques from Russian snipers like Vasily Zaitsev as well as American and British marksmen, synthesizing their approaches with his own insights. The curriculum he helped develop would eventually become the foundation for modern military sniper training worldwide. By 1966, as his first deployment to Vietnam approached, Hathcock had transformed from an exceptional competitive shooter to a complete military sniper. In 1966, Carlos Hathcock deployed to Vietnam with the 1st Marine Division, initially assigned as a military policeman rather than a designated sniper. This misallocation of his specialized skills reflected the still-evolving understanding of sniping in modern warfare. However, his reputation as a marksman quickly reached his commanding officers, who reassigned him to sniper duties. His first confirmed sniper elimination occurred during a routine patrol when he neutralized a Viet Cong guerrilla at 400 yards, a challenging shot through jungle canopy. Rather than celebrating, Hathcock approached this and subsequent missions with solemn professionalism, viewing his role as protection for fellow Marines rather than accumulation of statistics. Early in his deployment, Hathcock began developing the tactical approach that would define his combat operations. Unlike conventional squad movements, he would often operate with only a spotter, typically his trusted partner John Burke. This two-man team could move silently through enemy territory, establish hidden observation posts, and execute precision fires before withdrawing undetected. Vietnamese counter-sniper efforts intensified as Hathcock's effectiveness became apparent. The distinctive white feather he wore in his bush hat as a personal signature became known to enemy forces, who placed bounties on the Marine they called Long Trang, the white feather sniper. Despite the danger, Hathcock retained this personal symbol throughout his tours. By mid-1967, Hathcock had perfected his operational methodology, often inserting into position during nighttime hours and remaining motionless for days while waiting for high-value targets. On one documented mission, he maintained his position for 3 days without movement, urinating and defecating in place to avoid detection, while awaiting a North Vietnamese army officer. After completing his initial deployment with over 50 confirmed eliminations, Hathcock briefly returned to the United States. His most legendary missions still awaited him during his second tour. During his tours in Vietnam, Hathcock encountered adversaries who tested the limits of his skill and resolve. Among the most notorious was a Viet Cong sniper and interrogator known as the Apache. This female combatant earned her nickname from Marines due to her signature method of torturing captives. According to military reports, she would slowly mutilate captured Americans within earshot of Marine positions to draw others into ambushes. After establishing a concealed observation position, Hathcock and his spotter witnessed her torture a captured Marine over several hours. When the opportunity for a clear shot presented itself, Hathcock eliminated her with a single round. This was one of the few documented instances of female enemy combatants deliberately targeted during the conflict. The elimination of the Apache burnished Hathcock's reputation, but it was his duel with another enemy sniper that would become his most legendary engagement. In 1967, a North Vietnamese army officer and skilled marksman was dispatched specifically to hunt white feather. Known as the Cobra, this sniper had already eliminated several Marines, including some from the emerging American sniper program. After weeks of mutual stalking, the confrontation climaxed when Hathcock detected an almost imperceptible flash of light through his scope while scanning a ridgeline approximately 500 yards away. Recognizing it as sunlight reflecting off another scope, he took immediate action. In perhaps the most extraordinary shot of his career, Hathcock fired directly through the enemy scope, sending his bullet down the optical axis into the eye of his adversary. Subsequent investigation confirmed the extraordinary nature of this engagement. The opposing sniper had been tracking Hathcock simultaneously, and only a margin of milliseconds determined the outcome. Ballistic examination of the recovered rifle confirmed that Hathcock's bullet had traveled directly through the enemy scope, an occurrence so rare that it has become part of military sniper lore. The evolution of Carlos Hathcock from skilled marksman to legendary sniper was crystallized in several high-profile operations that demonstrated his extraordinary capabilities. His mission record includes achievements that remained unsurpassed for decades. Perhaps his most technically impressive feat occurred in 1967, when intelligence identified a North Vietnamese army general who would be visiting forward positions. Rather than risk a conventional operation, Command authorized a sniper operation at extreme distance. The target would briefly appear at a position approximately 2,500 yards from the nearest viable firing position, well beyond the effective range of standard sniper rifles. To overcome these limitations, Hathcock modified a Browning M2 heavy machine gun, mounting a telescopic sight and firing it as a single-shot rifle. After establishing his position a day in advance, Hathcock waited patiently for his target to appear. When the general briefly emerged from a staff car, Hathcock executed the shot, accounting for substantial bullet drop over the extreme distance. Military records confirmed the elimination at 2,500 yards, establishing a long-distance record that would stand until 2002. Another operation demonstrating his exceptional fieldcraft involved infiltrating an enemy encampment to eliminate a high-value target. After a 4-day crawl across open terrain, moving only inches at a time and remaining completely motionless when enemy patrols passed nearby, sometimes within feet of his position, Hathcock reached an optimal firing position. After completing his mission objective, he extracted without detection, a round-trip journey of 7 days with minimal provisions. The primary weapon Hathcock employed during most of his Vietnam operations was the Winchester Model 70 bolt-action rifle chambered in .30-06 Springfield, fitted with an 8-power unertl telescopic sight. Rather than using standard-issue rounds, Hathcock hand-selected each cartridge, measuring and weighing components to ensure ballistic consistency. Perhaps his most significant tactical innovation was in the realm of fieldcraft. Hathcock pioneered stealthy movement techniques that allowed him to infiltrate enemy territory undetected. His camouflage methodology was similarly revolutionary. Rather than relying solely on standard-issue equipment, Hathcock studied the specific environments of his operational areas and developed custom camouflage that precisely matched local vegetation. Carlos Hathcock's combat career came to an abrupt and devastating conclusion in 1969 during his second tour in Vietnam. On September 16, 1969, Hathcock was riding in an amphibious assault vehicle when it struck an anti-tank mine. The explosion instantly transformed the vehicle into an inferno, rupturing fuel lines and igniting ammunition stores. Despite suffering immediate burns to his face and arms, Hathcock's first action was to assist other Marines trapped in the burning vehicle. Military records confirm that he returned to the flaming transport multiple times, pulling fellow Marines to safety despite his own increasingly severe injuries. Only after accounting for all personnel did he allow medical evacuation for himself. The physical toll was catastrophic. Hathcock suffered third-degree burns over 40% of his body, with particularly severe damage to his face, arms, and hands. He was evacuated first to a field hospital, then to the specialized burn center at Brooke Army Medical Center in San Antonio, Texas, where he underwent months of excruciating treatment and multiple surgical procedures. Though he ultimately survived his physical wounds, the incident effectively ended his career as an active sniper. The severe scarring and damaged tissue in his hands affected the fine motor control essential for precision shooting. More significantly, the traumatic nature of the incident and prolonged recovery period took psychological tolls that would manifest in various ways throughout his remaining years. Perhaps the most poignant aspect of this incident was that it occurred as Hathcock approached the end of his second tour. He had already confirmed 93 eliminations, with many more unconfirmed due to operational circumstances. Military historians note that had he completed his planned rotation, his documented impact would likely have been substantially greater. Despite the career-ending nature of his injuries, Hathcock repeatedly attempted to return to active duty. Though unable to deploy as a sniper, he sought alternative roles where he might continue serving. This persistence reflected both his extraordinary commitment to the Marine Corps and the challenges many combat veterans face when transitioning to civilian life. Though his active combat career had concluded, Carlos Hathcock's most enduring military contribution may have been his role in establishing formal sniper training programs that continue to influence special operations worldwide. In 1971, despite ongoing health challenges from his injuries, Hathcock helped establish the Scout Sniper Instructor School at Marine Corps Base Quantico. Working alongside other experienced combat snipers, he developed a comprehensive curriculum that systematized the lessons learned in Vietnam. This represented the first formal institutionalization of modern sniper doctrine in the post-Vietnam Marine Corps. The training methodology Hathcock developed integrated technical marksmanship with tactical fieldcraft in ways previously uncombined in military instruction. His curriculum incorporated practical psychology, environmental awareness, and ethical decision-making alongside ballistic calculation and shooting fundamentals. Perhaps his most significant instructional innovation was the emphasis on realistic field exercises that simulated actual combat conditions. Rather than focusing exclusively on shooting range performance, Hathcock designed training scenarios that required students to stalk through various terrains, establish concealed positions, and engage targets while remaining undetected. The ethical dimensions of precision combat received particular emphasis in his instruction. Hathcock rejected glorification of violence, instead focusing on the sniper's role in protecting fellow service members and accomplishing specific military objectives with minimal collateral impact. This ethical framework became central to subsequent Marine Corps sniper doctrine and training. By 1975, Hathcock's declining health forced his medical retirement from active duty. However, he continued to influence military sniper programs through consulting roles and guest instruction at various military facilities. The training programs he helped establish expanded throughout the 1980s and 90s, eventually influencing special operations methodology beyond the Marine Corps. Today, every Marine Corps Scout sniper undergoes training that directly reflects Hathcock's methodological innovations. Elements of his approach have been integrated into Army, Navy, and Air Force special operations training, as well as law enforcement tactical programs. The conclusion of Carlos Hathcock's military career marked the beginning of another form of combat, one that would prove more challenging than any battlefield engagement. In 1975, he was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, a progressive neurological disease that attacks the protective covering of nerve cells, disrupting communication between brain and body. The diagnosis explained symptoms that had been emerging for several years, including unexplained fatigue, coordination difficulties, and periodic vision problems. Medical experts remain divided on whether his condition was connected to his combat injuries, particularly the severe burns and trauma sustained in 1969. The progression of the disease was particularly cruel given Hathcock's identity as a precision marksman. Multiple sclerosis gradually eroded the very physical capabilities that had defined his exceptional skill, affecting fine motor control, balance, and visual processing. For a man whose professional identity centered on extraordinary physical self-control and discipline, this progressive loss represented a profound challenge to his sense of self. Despite these challenges, Hathcock approached his condition with the same methodical determination that characterized his military career. He researched treatment options exhaustively, maintaining detailed records of how various medications and therapies affected his symptoms. This systematic approach to managing his condition extended his functional independence well beyond initial medical projections. As physical limitations increased, Hathcock redirected his energy toward activities that remained accessible. He became deeply involved in competitive shooting sports that accommodated his condition, participating in and later helping organize events for disabled veterans. Perhaps most significantly, Hathcock became an advocate for veterans facing similar health challenges. Though naturally reserved and uncomfortable with public attention, he spoke candidly about his experiences when doing so could benefit others. He participated in various veteran support initiatives, particularly those focused on Marines and snipers adjusting to civilian life with combat-related injuries or illnesses. By the 1990s, the progression of multiple sclerosis had confined Hathcock primarily to a wheelchair, with increasingly limited upper body function. Yet even as his physical capabilities diminished, his mental acuity and determination remained intact. The final years of Carlos Hathcock's life reflected both the heavy costs of military service and the extraordinary resilience of those who wear the uniform. Though physically diminished by progressive multiple sclerosis and the lingering effects of combat injuries, he maintained the core qualities that had distinguished him as a warrior throughout his life. By the mid-1990s, Hathcock's condition had deteriorated significantly. Requiring extensive assistance with daily activities, he nonetheless maintained an active engagement with the military community. From his modest home in Virginia Beach, he corresponded with active duty personnel deployed worldwide, providing guidance and encouragement to a new generation facing their own combat challenges. Recognition of his contributions came in various forms during these years. In 1996, the Marine Corps Scout Sniper Instructor School at Quantico named its primary training facility Hathcock Range in his honor. The Navy Cross was considered by many to be warranted for his actions rescuing fellow Marines from the burning vehicle in 1969, though administrative requirements complicated this process. Perhaps the most meaningful recognition came from fellow Marines. Throughout his final years, a steady stream of visitors from across military generations made pilgrimages to meet the legendary White Feather. These included combat veterans from Vietnam, Gulf War operations, and numerous international conflicts, all seeking to express appreciation for his innovations that had saved countless lives through improved training and tactics. On February 23, 1999, Carlos Hathcock died at age 56 from complications of multiple sclerosis. His funeral at Woodlawn Memorial Gardens in Norfolk, Virginia, drew hundreds of Marines from multiple generations, including both general officers and enlisted personnel. The ceremony reflected his lifelong commitment to Marine Corps traditions and the ethos of the sniper community he helped define. In the years since his death, Hathcock's legacy has expanded rather than diminished. Military training facilities worldwide incorporate his methodological innovations. The United States Marine Corps Scout Sniper Association established the Carlos Hathcock Award, presented annually to individuals who make significant contributions to the art of military sniping. His techniques have been integrated into military doctrine beyond American forces, influencing special operations methodology globally. The approach Hathcock pioneered represented a fundamental paradigm shift in precision warfare. Where previous military doctrine often emphasized volume of fire and mass formations, he demonstrated how specialized individuals with proper training could achieve strategic effects disproportionate to their numbers. This concept has become central to modern special operations philosophy worldwide. His influence extends beyond direct military applications into law enforcement tactical operations. Police sniper units throughout the United States have adopted training methodologies that directly reflect Hathcock's emphasis on precision, restraint, and ethical decision-making. The integration of psychological and environmental factors into sniper training originated largely from his innovations. The technological evolution of precision weaponry has been significantly influenced by Hathcock's operational experiences. His detailed documentation of field performance led to specific improvements in optical systems, ammunition development, and weapon design. Modern sniper rifles incorporate numerous features that address challenges he identified through combat experience. Perhaps most significantly, Hathcock redefined the cultural understanding of the military sniper. Before his emergence, popular conception often portrayed snipers as shadowy, morally ambiguous figures. Through his professionalism, ethical approach, and articulate explanation of the sniper's protective role, he helped transform public perception of precision combat specialists. Military historians increasingly recognize Hathcock as a transformative figure in modern warfare evolution. His development of systematic approaches to previously intuitive skills helped bridge the gap between traditional marksmanship and contemporary precision warfare. This methodological innovation ranks among the most significant developments in infantry combat during the latter 20th century. Perhaps the most fitting testament to his impact lies in the countless service members who returned safely from combat operations due to the training protocols he established. While his 93 confirmed eliminations represent a quantifiable metric of his direct combat impact, the true measure of his contribution extends to generations of military personnel trained according to the methods he pioneered. Carlos Hathcock embodied the paradox at the heart of the warrior ethos. He was simultaneously a lethal combat specialist and a thoughtful, compassionate individual committed to protecting others. This integration of tactical excellence with ethical purpose remains his most enduring legacy, continuing to influence military operations and training long after his final chapter concluded. Subscribe now, become a member, turn on notifications, share this video with your friends, and leave a comment so we can compare our knowledge and sources. Thank you for following our channel. Until our next strategic journey, here at Warriors of the World.